Welcome to the introduction of the seminar on advanced topics in rendering. My name is Matthias Teschner and I'm Professor for Computer Graphics at the University of Freiburg. Here we have the outline of this introduction. I'm going to start with an overview of our teaching activities, followed by a discussion of organizational aspects of the seminar. As the presentation of a rendering topic is a key component of this seminar, I will discuss how to prepare and how to give the presentation. Then I briefly discuss potential topics that could be covered in a presentation in this seminar, and finally I summarize this introduction. Computer graphics addresses various topics. So the most prominent topic is certainly rendering, the generation or synthesis of images, but graphics is also concerned with topics that are related to image generation. And here two prominent graphics areas are modeling and simulation. On the right-hand side of this slide, you can see images that illustrate these three areas: modeling, simulation, and rendering. You can see a surface that is represented with a set of vertices and surface patches. You can see the simulation of a fluid, and you can see the final photorealistic rendering of the scene. Now, in this seminar, the presentations should focus on rendering aspects. This slide summarizes our teaching activities. First of all, we offer a general introduction to computer graphics. This introduction is part of the key course Image Processing and Computer Graphics, where the introduction to graphics is combined with an introduction to image processing. In the graphics part of this course, we talk about selected aspects of modeling, rendering, and simulation, with the main focus on rendering. In addition to the key course, we offer two specialization courses. One specialization course is concerned with rendering, the other one focuses on simulation. In the advanced computer graphics course, we look into so-called global illumination approaches, for instance radiosity or stochastic ray tracing. In the simulation course, we introduce concepts to simulate deformable objects, rigid solids or fluids, and there we mainly look into particle-based approaches. In addition to these courses, we also offer seminars, an animation seminar and a rendering seminar, and we also offer all types of projects and theses. We offer bachelor projects, master projects, lab courses, bachelor and master theses. In terms of the projects and theses, we distinguish two tracks, a simulation track and a rendering track. When interested in graphics at the University of Freiburg, you can either focus on simulation or on rendering. So if you are more interested in simulation, you can start with the simulation course in the winter term. In the following summer term, you could attend the key course on graphics. The key course and the simulation course are rather independent. The key course has a strong focus on rendering, so it's not necessarily a prerequisite for the simulation course. In the summer term, you could also do a lab course or attend the simulation seminar. Then in the following semester, you could continue with the master project and then finally write your master thesis. In the rendering track, you would start with the key course in the summer term, and then you could attend the advanced rendering course in the following winter term. In parallel, you could also participate in a lab course and in a master project. Of course, you could also attend the rendering and the simulation seminars. Again, the track would be completed with the master thesis. I find it particularly important to thoroughly plan the project and the thesis. On one hand, one could do the lab course, the master project, and the master thesis in different areas of computer science. The question, however, is whether this makes sense. I would actually argue that it's better to do the lab course, the master project, and the master thesis in the same area. In this case, the master thesis can be built upon the results of previous projects. This is illustrated here for both tracks. In the simulation track, for instance, one could implement a simple fluid solver in the lab course. This simple fluid solver could be extended or improved in the master project. For instance, the data structures for the neighbor search could be improved, or the pressure computation could be improved by incorporating a so-called PPE solver, where PPE stands for pressure-Poisson equation. Based on the results of the master project, it would be possible to write a master thesis that addresses very interesting, challenging, and relevant aspects in fluid simulation. So in the master thesis, it would be possible to focus on a research-oriented topic. The same holds for the rendering track. In the lab course, you could start with a simple ray tracer. In the master project, this ray tracer could be extended to a sophisticated stochastic ray tracer that employs Monte Carlo integration, and the data structures for the ray traversal could be improved. Then the outcome of such a project can be the basis for a highly interesting rendering topic that is covered in the master thesis. That's it about the introduction of our teaching activities, and now I will continue with the discussion of organizational aspects of this rendering seminar. The main purpose of this seminar is to present a graphics topic and to write a report. As we have international students at our university, I would suggest that the presentation should be given in English and also the report should be prepared in English accordingly. However, if you prefer, you can give the presentation in German and also prepare the report in German. Nevertheless, it would be nice if at least your presentation slides would be in English. The idea behind the presentation is to familiarize yourself with the graphics topic. So the main goal is actually to prepare and present a comprehensible presentation. The presentations are typically based on scientific publications in journals or at conferences, or they can be based on book chapters. And I find it particularly important that these publications are not just reproduced for the presentations. Instead, it's typically a good idea to adapt the organization of the publication to some extent in order to compile a comprehensible seminar presentation. It's also typically a good idea to combine material from different sources. All these seminar presentations take place at the same time and in the same room as this introduction, or alternatively, they are also organized as a video conference. This will be announced on our webpage as indicated here on this slide. On our webpage, you can find a link to our teaching webpage where all information on all our courses can be found. And there you find a section with information on the rendering seminar, in particular the schedule of all planned presentations with topics and the names of the respective presenters. Please keep in mind that the attendance of all seminar presentations is mandatory for all participants. In addition to the presentation, a written report has to be prepared. This written report should cover the topic of the presentation and should consist of approximately 10 pages. And then at the end of the semester, the presentation slides and the written report should be submitted in 2 separate PDF documents. It would be nice if the names of the documents indicate the topic and your name, the name of the presenter. The documents should be sent to me per email, and I strongly recommend that you send the documents until the last lecture day in the current semester. If you plan to participate in the rendering seminar, then you should check our webpage to make sure that your desired topic and your desired presentation date are still available. So when you go to the webpage and to the section about the rendering seminar, there you find a document that contains the current schedule of the seminar with presentations that have already been registered. If you have identified a topic that you like and your desired presentation date is still available, then you send me an email where you basically state your name, your topic, and the desired presentation date. Then I will update the seminar schedule on our webpage accordingly. And please do not forget to register for the seminar also in the campus management system. That's it about organizational aspects of the seminar. Now I'm going to discuss details of the seminar presentation. All presentations should be at least 25 minutes, but no longer than 35 minutes. And after each presentation, we will have a discussion of about 10 to 15 minutes. These discussions will cover technical questions, but we will also discuss the form of a presentation in order to give feedback on positive aspects and on aspects that could be improved. So, how to prepare your seminar presentation? First of all, it's important that you really know your topic. You should thoroughly examine all relevant material. In particular, it would be nice if you do not try to circumvent any problems. So, if appropriate, if required, try to incorporate additional material and investigate additional sources. If you prepare your presentation, it would be nice if you do not create too many or too few slides. Typically we say that each slide could be shown and explained for about 1 to 2 minutes. So if you have less than 15 slides, this is typically not a sufficient number. On the other hand, if you have more than 30 slides for a 30-minute presentation, then you certainly have too many slides. Another important point is that all slides should have a uniform look. So use a template. Text should look the same or similar on all slides. Equations, image captions should look the same, and also the slide titles should look the same on all slides. Another important aspect is that the content on slides should not be too dense. It is also nice to incorporate illustrations if possible and appropriate, and also the slide title should be useful. As the presentations cover graphics topics, it shouldn't be too difficult to incorporate illustrations and images. The last important point from my perspective is a rehearsal. So please rehearse your presentation. When you rehearse your presentation, then you typically get feedback. You should consider this feedback and adapt your presentation accordingly. The next aspect that I'd like to discuss is the structure of the seminar presentation. From my perspective, the beginning of a presentation is particularly important because in the beginning, a presenter should try to arouse the interest and the attention of the audience. In the beginning, you should introduce yourself and the title of your presentation, and then you should give an overview. And here I typically prefer simple overviews. Overviews should not be too dense, and they should not contain too many specific terms that you intend to explain in the presentation. Terms whose meaning is unknown to the audience in the beginning are certainly not helpful in the overview. Also, the overview should not be too detailed. Keep it simple, as for instance, introduction, methods, results. Another option could be concept, implementation, analysis. After that, you should give a motivation. What is the topic about? Why is it relevant? Why is it interesting? And what is challenging about the topic? These are aspects that could be discussed in the motivation part of a seminar presentation. Also try to illustrate the topic. Here we are in the rendering seminar, so it should be straightforward to incorporate images and illustrations in the motivation. Also try to explain the goal of the presentation. Try to discuss what to expect from the presentation. Which aspects will be covered, which aspects might not be addressed. So the audience should be eager to listen to your seminar talk. Regarding the main part of the presentation, there's not much to say. It's typically helpful if the presentation is structured in sections and if these sections are explicitly separated from each other. So it's typically a good idea to introduce each part of the talk and also to provide summaries for each part of the presentation. In terms of the content, the main part can cover, for instance, basics, concepts, implementations, results, analysis, or comparisons. Finally, at the end, the entire presentation should be summarized. For instance, which are the most important insights from the perspective of the presenter? Or what are pros and cons of the presented approach? Or what about potential directions for future developments in the respective area? And then finally, the presenter should thank the audience and start the discussion. In terms of preparing the used software and hardware for the presentation, everything should be checked in advance. Try to make sure that all components are working properly and that you know how to use them. For instance, if your presentation is given as part of a video conference, check your internet connection, your microphone, your speaker, and make sure that the screen sharing works. If you give your talk in a seminar room in the university, check the connection to the projector and whether the projection setup works as expected. In general, try to avoid idiosyncrasies during your presentation that might irritate part of the audience. And most important, stay in time. That's it about the preparation of the seminar presentation. Now I'd like to discuss potential topics that can be covered in seminar talks. Seminar presentations should generally address a rendering topic or a topic closely related to rendering. This can either be a general concept or model that is employed in all rendering approaches, or it can be an aspect of one of the major rendering concepts, which are rasterization, radiosity, and ray tracing. Again, topics closely related to rendering can also be an option. In terms of general concepts, this slide lists some potential topics. For instance, light perception, light modeling, or radiometric quantities can be addressed in a presentation. Or a presentation can focus on the light interaction with surfaces as governed by material models, shading models, or BRDFs. Then the rendering equation can be an interesting topic, as it is the governing equation for light interaction at surfaces. Next, Monte Carlo integration is certainly an interesting topic. This general integration scheme is useful for multidimensional integrals, and it's generally used in stochastic ray tracing. Also, aliasing and the reduction of aliasing might be an interesting topic, as well as the closely related topics sampling and reconstruction. In terms of rasterization, all topics that have not been covered in our key course can be addressed in a seminar talk. This includes, for instance, shadow algorithms such as shadow mapping or shadow volumes. And in terms of radiosity, one could, for instance, present the original concept of that approach. Nowadays, ray tracing is certainly the most prominent rendering concept, and there exists a large variety of potential topics in that context. For instance, path tracing could be a topic, or bidirectional methods, or the ray tracing of volumes, to name just 3 examples. In terms of related topics, things like acceleration data structures for ray primitive intersections could be an option, or surface reconstruction algorithms such as dual contouring or Martin cubes. These algorithms generate renderable surface representations, so they can be looked at as related to rendering in general. Now there exists a variety of sources that can be used to prepare a seminar presentation. On our webpage, for instance, you can find a link to a list with rendering resources. Now here in this introduction, I'd just like to point to a few books that are available for free either on the internet or in our library. The first book is Andrew Glasner's Principles of Digital Image Synthesis. It is available online for free, and it covers a large variety of rendering topics ranging from radiosity and ray tracing to anti-aliasing and sampling. The second book is Physically Based Rendering from Matt Farr and colleagues. It focuses on ray tracing and is also available online for free. Here we have 2 more books. Advanced Global Illumination from Phil Dutré and colleagues is available in our library. It focuses on stochastic ray tracing. The last book is Ray Tracing Gems, edited by Erik Heinz and Thomas Akenine Müller. It is also available online for free and addresses the ray tracing concept. And again, in addition to these books, you can find a list with more rendering resources on our webpage in the respective section of the rendering seminar. That's it about potential topics. Now I'd like to briefly summarize this introduction to the rendering seminar. The main goals of this rendering seminar are to give a talk of about 25 to 35 minutes and to write a report of about 10 pages. Seminar presentations should cover rendering topics, and information on the seminar schedule can be found on our webpage. If you have chosen a topic and a presentation date, you send me an email and I update the seminar schedule on our webpage accordingly. You can also contact me if you are not sure whether a topic might be appropriate for the seminar or not. That's it about the introduction to the rendering seminar. Thanks for your attention.